It's a Manchu. Welcome to Minecraft Bedrock vs. Java, where I play through both versions of the game and compare them. It's a well-known fact that there's more than one version of Minecraft. There is Bedrock Edition, which uses C for its source code, and it is available on all platforms, PC, consoles, phones, everything. And there is the Java Edition version, which uses Java for its source code, and is available on Windows and Mac systems. Now, what I do on my channel is I will create a new world in Bedrock Edition and in Java Edition and play through both games in survival mode and see what practical effect the differences between the two versions have on how you play the game. And I've done this before on my channel, start a brand new world and just play through in survival mode, but that was before the Caves and Cliffs Part 2 update. Now that 1.18 has come out and it makes big changes to things, I think it's worth making a fresh start in a new world and going through the whole normal survival gameplay progression. So in my videos, I will probably be switching back and forth between Java Edition Minecraft and Bedrock Edition Minecraft. And just by looking at the gameplay, it isn't always easy to tell the difference between which version it is. I'm going to put up this icon on the screen if I'm playing in Java Edition, and this icon if I'm playing in Bedrock Edition. Right now I am in Bedrock Edition, so I'll put this symbol up on the lower right of the screen. Now I'm at the world creation interface here for the game launcher, and I'm going to start creating a new world. There are quite a few differences in the options that you have between Bedrock Edition and Java Edition when it comes to creating a new world. I really am just going to get into the things I'm going to change from the default settings when I set up the world. First of all, I have to give it a name. Bedrock vs. Java sounds good. I'm going to use the survival game mode. For difficulty, there's a number of options here. The default is normal, but I'm going to set to hard difficulty. That's going to mean that hostile mobs have more health and they do more damage. But this isn't a flex. This is simply because there are certain things in hard mode that are different than I'm used to playing with, and I want to have those features work a certain way. I'll get into in later videos why I like to play in hard mode all the time. But for now, just know that it's not just because I'm good at the game or anything, it's just I prefer to play it in that version. Alright, I'm going to turn off starting map. That means I won't start with a map. That's okay. I'd like to talk about how maps work and how they're different from Java and Bedrock significantly in a later video. I'm just starting out here. Okay, simulation distance. The default here is 4 chunks. The simple way of describing that is it affects how much of the world around you is loaded in at any time. The Minecraft world is big. And when I say big, I mean larger than the surface area of the planet Earth big. And it's not all loaded in and being processed at the same time. This distance affects how much of the area around you is actually loaded in at once. I'm going to turn that up to 10 chunks because my system should be able to handle it. If I had some kind of performance issues, things were getting laggy and I was losing frame rate, I might drop that down, but that should be good. The higher the better, really. I'm also going to turn on coordinates. That will show me my actual coordinates in the world on the top left of the screen. I don't think I'm going to change any of the other settings. This is a solo survival world, so I'm just going to create and get started. And here we are in the new world. The 1.18 update, the Caves and Cliffs Part 2, increased the height of the world by 50%. It makes room for really big, high, tall mountains. And this is nothing compared to what there might be around. And also vast, expansive cave networks. In Bedrock Edition or Java Edition, things will pretty much start out the same way. I need to punch some wood. If I can find the wood logs in this tree. Punch this tree and get some wood logs. In previous versions of Bedrock Edition, it didn't always start you really close to X and Z coordinates of 0, 0. It does a better job of that now in the 1.18 update, so you tend to start out a little bit closer to the 0, 0 coordinates. Java Edition tends to always start you near those coordinates. But I did happen to spawn on top of one of these awful oak trees that are huge. As a rule of thumb, I don't like to leave any logs unbroken on a tree. You know, I'm not just going to break the bottom of a tree and leave the rest of it, because then it would look ugly. If there are no log blocks near the leaf blocks will decay over time and break, and then they'll drop twigs or saplings. In the case of oak leaf blocks, they'll sometimes drop apples. Yeah, this is terrible. I'm going to end up collecting way more logs than I actually needed. Okay, collected some logs. Now, I'm going to open my inventory, and I have a 2x2 crafting interface here. I will use that interface to make some wood planks out of the logs. And use those wood planks, arrange them like that to make a crafting table. Then I can place down the crafting table and use it, and it opens up a 3x3 crafting interface, which is enough space for me to craft just about anything I need. But what I really need right now is a wooden pickaxe. Some recipes require that you just have all the right ingredients anywhere in the interface. Some require that you arrange components that you need to craft the item in the right order, in the right arrangement. But in any case, you could just look at your library of craftable items and just select something here, and it'll make it for you. Okay, got a wooden pick. A lot of players might, as an example, just to demonstrate things, make all the different wooden tools that you can make, but I'm not going to do that. I think that's setting a bad example, because honestly, all I need, the only wooden tool I'm going to need, with one very weird exception, is the wooden pickaxe. I could break this stone with my hand. I could break it by hand. It would take a lot longer, and it wouldn't drop cobblestone when I break it. That would be unfortunate because I really need the stone. Alright, that'll do for now. I have enough stone to start with. Now I can upgrade from a wood pickaxe to a stone pick, and that will mine much more efficiently. I'm also going to make a stone axe. But again, that's the only tools that I'm going to make. I think I should make some torches, though, as well. Alright. I kind of have to make good use of time here, because Minecraft Day is 20 minutes long. You start when you're spawned into the world at dawn. And that means you have 10 minutes of daylight before it gets dark out, and hostile mobs, or monsters, start appearing. So I have to make good use of this time. I'd really like to now get myself a bed, because if I can get a bed and get my hands on a bed, then I could sleep through the night, and I don't have to worry about the hostile mobs at all. Surviving the first night, it's difficult, but it's not that hard. The problem is, if I'm busy trying to survive my first night in the Minecraft world, I'm not busy collecting resources and exploring. So it's kind of an unproductive time. I'd like to be able to skip the night and, you know, be more productive in my early stages of the game. I will, if I happen to find any animals at this stage, murder them for their meat, because it'd be nice to have that food source. I did find a sheep there and killed that. It dropped some wool. I need wool to make a bed. I need 3 pieces of the same color wool to make a bed. If I run into a sheep that's not white, it's a different color sheep, and it will drop a different color of wool, then I'm going to have to get a little bit creative, but I can make do with that. Pumpkins, that's a nice resource to find. I don't want to get too greedy with resource collection. I'm looking for food, and I'm looking for wool so I can make a bed. I want to get that done quickly before the sun sets. And anyone who's familiar with Minecraft before the Caves and Cliffs Part 2 update will recognize how different this terrain looks, because it's able to accommodate caves that are much deeper, much more extensive, much more realistic looking, I feel. I'm finding lots of pigs, but no sheep. I really need to find sheep. Now you may wonder why I didn't make a stone sword. Stone swords do slightly more damage than stone axes in Bedrock Edition. Why not use a stone sword as a weapon? Well, it's because at the beginning of the game, I'm going to be collecting a lot of resources, and I need all the inventory space I can get. So making extra tools that I don't absolutely need is a waste of space that I could use for other resources. And since the axe only does slightly less damage than the sword in Bedrock Edition, I prefer to just have an axe. That's good enough. Well, I found a sheep, but it's a baby sheep. Killing a baby sheep gives me nothing. I need grown-up sheep. Well, this is unfortunate. The sun is going down. I've only found one sheep and one piece of wool. Oh, wait! Oh, there's 2 more sheep! I'm saved! As I say, it's not impossible to survive the night. It's not even that difficult, but it'll waste 10 minutes of time trying to survive instead of exploring and collecting resources. I'd much rather get 3 pieces of wool and make a bed. Let's see. To make a bed, I need 3 pieces of wool the same color. 3 pieces of wood. And I have a bed. Ah, just made it. Now that I have a bed, things will be a lot more peaceful. There's a creeper! Which I will avoid for now. Sorry, but every time I see a creeper, that's what I'm going to do. Get used to it. But in the brief time that it was dark, that thing spawned in. So we need to stay away from it. Now that I've upgraded to stone tools, and I have a bed, what's left to do now is collect some resources that I might need and explore. Oh, there's a sheep of a different color. That's a black sheep. I collected it. It will give me black wool. If I hadn't found 3 white sheep and gotten 3 white wool, that would be a problem. I wouldn't have 2 of the same color. But what I can do is collect some flowers. Where's that other sheep? There we go. I can collect some flowers, and you can use flowers to make dye. As long as I have the same type of flower, I'll make the same dye. These particular flowers give me light gray dye, so I turn those flowers into dye. And then I can combine the dye with any wool to turn the wool into light gray wool. In Java Edition, it won't work that way. You can only dye white wool with a dye. Wool of other colors you can't use dye on. But see, I just turned 3 different colored wool into 3 light gray wool. If I was doing this in Java Edition and I ran across a sheep of a different color, you can use dye on the sheep to change the sheep's color, and then kill the sheep and collect the wool from it. And that's what I would have done in Java Edition in that scenario. Breaking lots of grass here so I can get some seeds. Just thinking about planting crops later. Now this is interesting here. It used to be, before the Caves and Cliffs Part 2 update, that jungles were kind of rare. In my very limited experience with the new update now, it seems like jungles are much more common than they used to be. Which is great, because they have certain resources that are hard or impossible to find elsewhere. Melons being one. Also jungle wood. I suppose I could collect some jungle wood. I'd really like to have some jungle saplings, so I could plant my own jungle wood later. I got no saplings from that. Pfft, figures. Jungle tree leaves have a lower probability of dropping saplings. Well, I can get cocoa beans though. That's a unique jungle feature. And cocoa beans are the only source of brown dye, so that's going to be helpful to have. Another feature of the new Caves and Cliffs update, rivers tend to be much wider than they used to be. And I think they might also be a lot deeper than they used to be. Well, I got up nice and high to give myself a better vantage point, and check that out. That is some cool looking terrain over there. Like a big crater in the earth. Maybe a little bit of odd terrain generation over here with like floating high in mid-air islands and stuff. It's not perfect, but sometimes I think terrain features like that are just interesting to look at. Alright, I think I'll set up a very temporary base right here. I've collected a lot of meat. I need to start cooking it. So, let me set up a furnace. And I don't have any coal, but that's okay. Let's use this to smelt up that. Let's smelt these logs and make charcoal. Charcoal works exactly like coal. You can use it for everything you can use coal for. Now I'll use that charcoal to smelt some more. And let me make a campfire with that piece of charcoal. I could smelt the food in the furnace, but it's just more efficient to put it on the campfire and cook it that way. I definitely prefer to use cooked meat. It's going to provide me a lot better nutrition. Cooking the food in this way, I'm not going to get any experience. Anything you smelt in a furnace, you get experience from. But it's very efficient because it's not going to use more than that one piece of charcoal. And I can just cook things on it forever. You notice that I placed the campfire up on top of this grass block. I did that so that I won't accidentally walk on top of the campfire and burn myself. That would stink. I don't want that to happen. Alright, I think I've collected plenty of meat for now, although I definitely could use more leather. So that horse's life might be in jeopardy over there. Anyway, this is a nice little spot, but I don't think I want to base here permanently. So let's move on. Now that I have a good source of food to start with, all this cooked meat, I can look for an interesting place to set up my base. Wow, look at that terrain. It looks so amazing. That is beautiful. I used to say the previous update was the update for builders, the Caves and Cliffs Part 1, because it didn't have all the caves and cliffs in it, but it had lots of new blocks, which builders were very excited about. But this terrain, even if you're not a builder, it's gotta get your creative juices flowing. Look at this place. So many possibilities. Had to come back to the jungle and get some bamboo. I forgot about that. Another important resource. There's also a parrot here. Do I want a parrot? You know, in this playthrough of Minecraft, I would like to collect a lot of animals. I'd like to farm a lot of animals. Like, have a big farm with as many animals as I can get. That'll include parrots. Why not? Parrots eat seeds. They'll eat any kind of seeds, and you can use that to befriend them. And once you do, you just walk over where they are, and they'll hop on your shoulder. You can even have one parrot on each shoulder. One kind of annoying thing about parrots is they will mimic the sounds of mobs they see around them. If the last mob they saw was a zombie, they'll just keep making zombie noises. It's kind of annoying. That is some amazing... Oh my god, this terrain is so beautiful. It's just that... Ooh, another parrot. I can have one on each shoulder. Or just one. Where'd the other one go? Oh, there you are. Come here. There we go. I have 2 parrots. I don't know if I can keep them alive for very long, but we'll see. Oh my god. Do you see that? I am in awe. That is a woodland mansion. Woodland mansions are... I don't want to say that they're the rarest structure in the world, but they're one of the rarest structures. And oh my god, there's a skeleton. It scared me off the perch. Hold on a second. Let me get away from that skeleton. Woodland mansions are a very rare structure. They're usually thousands of blocks, maybe over 10,000 blocks from world spawn. And here I found one pretty close by. I was gonna wait and try and find an interesting location to make a home base. I just found one. Maybe I can make my home base in the woodland mansion. It's a little scary because woodland mansions, ooh, there's dangerous things inside. That is a dangerous place to go. I'm excited by that possibility. I think I want to do it. I'm gonna try it. I think I've reached a good stopping point in Bedrock Edition. This is very interesting. To the left of me, you see a woodland mansion. I can't say this is day one. I've slept a number of times while exploring, but this is my first time in the new world. You can see my coordinates. I'm not that far from world spawn. There's a woodland mansion. And over to the right side of me, you can see the opening of a huge cavern. Oh, this opens interesting possibilities. Oh, I am excited for exploring both of those things, but let's go into Java Edition and get things started there. Alright, now I am ready to start the new world in Java Edition. This is the Java menu. Don't let this modded thing here under the Minecraft version fool you. The only mod I'm using right now is Optifine, which is a mod which gives you more graphics settings. That's really the only change there. Let's start a new single-player game. Create new world. I will call it Java versus Bedrock. And there are quite a few more options here for the setup of the new world, but I'm just going to go over stuff that I'm doing different from the default settings. Definitely going to do survival gameplay mode. Although I should point out that there is an extra game mode in Java Edition called Hardcore, and that's like hard difficulty, except you only get one life. When you die, that's it. You can no longer play in that world. It makes for higher stakes, I guess. So it makes things more exciting. But, I mean, the longer you play in the world, the more you have to lose when you die, and the more heartbreak it would be when you die. I don't like to play in hardcore mode, but it's an interesting mode that it's unfortunately not available in Bedrock Edition. In any case, I'm going to do survival hard difficulty. You go into more world options. There is no option to turn on coordinates. Looking for coordinates in Java Edition is going to be a little different. I'll show that off in a minute. Let's see, what else? The seed, right. So, the Minecraft world is going to be procedurally generated. Every time you generate a new world, you're going to get a new random world. It's going to be completely different from anything you've done previously, but there are a finite number of possible worlds. It's a big number, but it's finite. In Bedrock Edition, it's only 4 billion possible worlds. Only 4 billion. In Java Edition, it's actually a much larger number. It's more like 18 quadrillion or something. It's just a ridiculously large number, but it's a finite number. If you enter in a specific seed for the world generator, that seed will always generate the same world. Previously, in previous versions of Minecraft, the world generation was different between Java and Bedrock. So if I used a Bedrock world seed in a Java Edition world, I'd get completely different worlds. But now, since they changed and upgraded the world generation algorithms anyway, they've made it so that I can take a Bedrock world seed and put it into a Java Edition world generation, and it will generate the same world. But because there are more possible seed numbers in Java Edition, I wanted to make the Bedrock Edition world first, get its seed number, and use it to generate the Java world. If I'd done it the other way around, I might have gotten a seed number for Java Edition that won't work in Bedrock Edition. But all the Bedrock Edition seeds will work in Java Edition. So I believe, if I recorded it correctly, that is the seed number for the Bedrock Edition world that I created. This should give me essentially the same world. It's not going to be identical block for block, but the same biomes will be in the same place, and unless you look really, really carefully at the two worlds side by side, it's going to look identical. But when it comes to structures, like villages and desert temples and ocean monuments, and for that matter, woodland mansions, the generation of those between Bedrock Edition and Java Edition is different. So using this same seed, I'm not going to find the woodland mansion in the same place in the Java Edition world. It's sad, but that's the way it is. Okay, I think that's everything I need to do. Let's create new world. Blah. Now if I press the F3 screen, it will show me the coordinates. It tends to, in Java Edition, be closer to X and Z coordinates of 0, 0 than in Bedrock Edition. Although with the new Caves and Cliffs update, that should be a little bit better, more consistent in Bedrock Edition at putting me close to the 0, 0 level. So I'm in the same, roughly the same place, but the world spawn is going to be in exactly the same spot. And I'm going to start out, I need to punch some wood, get some logs, make a wood pickaxe, get some stone, make stone tools, and then look for a bed. Same kind of deal. I almost forgot, when I go into video settings here, this option wasn't in the world generation menu, but remember in Bedrock Edition how I had render distance in chunks. This splits it up into render distance and simulation distance. Render distance in this case in Java Edition is indicating how far away you can see things. How far away visually it renders objects that you can see from where you are. Simulation distance is how far away things are actually loaded and mobs will move around, and trees will grow, and plants grow, and that kind of thing. That's the simulation distance, and render distance is separated out, which is kind of nice. And you can see that I have the option to raise it much higher than in the Bedrock Edition version. But I think the default settings here are pretty good. I'll be able to see probably a little further away than I can see in Bedrock Edition. But the simulation distance is similar, 12 chunks instead of 10. Okay, that's it. I'm not going to mess with any more of the settings for now. I wonder if that's the same tree right there that I spawned in Bedrock Edition. It could be. It looks like it is, anyway. Oh, there I got an advancement. Bedrock Edition, you know, at least for consoles, has achievements that you can get, you can unlock. It's similar to advancements. It's a similar kind of thing. I can look at that really quick here. So there are obviously more advancements beyond this, but this is what I can see for the moment. Advancements in Java Edition are tied to the world. Every time you generate a new world, you restart advancements from scratch, and you can earn all the advancements in each new world that you create. In Bedrock Edition, it keeps track of achievements for your account. So once you earn an achievement in any world, you've earned it. You can't re-earn it again. Alright, don't want to get too greedy. Time's a-wasting. Whoops. Place this down. I am traditionally a Bedrock Edition player, so I'm more familiar with the controls in Bedrock Edition. How are they different? Well, in Bedrock Edition, you can play with a game controller instead of keyboard and mouse. And I kind of prefer to use a game controller. It's just, you know, what I'm used to, I guess. It's not like one is easier than the other. There's advantages to keyboards and mouse because I think crafting is a bit easier with keyboard and mouse than in using a game controller. But I find the moving around stuff to be a little bit more intuitive for me using a game controller. Java Edition doesn't by default accommodate game controllers. You can use a game controller, but it's tricky. Also notice something else. I look at my inventory. Yeah, here. You see I do 9 attack damage with the axe. See I do 9 attack damage with the axe, 5 attack damage with the sword. In Bedrock Edition, I believe the axe only does 4 attack damage. But there's also a stat, attack speed. I had to go into the settings and turn on the attack indicator. When I swing the axe, you see there's like a little recharge bar after I swing it. If I like spam attacks as fast as I can, I'm going to do minimum damage. To do the maximum damage, I need to let that recharge bar charge up again. And the sword recharges faster. Okay, I have 3 sheep. I'm going to collect some dye, and I'm going to dye those sheep and then kill them. That way I will get, with this yellow dye, 3 yellow wool. Where's the other sheep? There was another sheep. Where did it go? That would be disappointing because I found the sheep right away. I hear it. Where are you? Ah, there he is. So I dye the sheep yellow and then kill it. Now I have 2 yellow wool. I can dye this white wool yellow. And now I have 3 yellow wool. I got a little lucky that time and found sheep right away. And now I have a bed. Oh, that's going to make my life easier. I have stone tools, I have a bed. Now I just need to collect food and other resources and explore and look for something interesting. Maybe an interesting place to put my home base. So anyway, in Java Edition, there is a substantial difference between axes and swords, at least the stone versions. For just killing these neutral mobs, I'd rather use the axe because I can jump up and do a crit on them and kill them in one swing. I couldn't do that in Bedrock Edition. Couldn't do enough damage to kill them in one swing with axe or sword. But for fighting monsters, that'll actually attack me back. I'd rather have the faster attack speed of the sword. This terrain looks similar, but I can't tell for sure. I would kind of like to go back to where that woodland mansion was, just to see. Holy crap, there's a lot of pigs. One of the differences between Bedrock and Java that I'm going to bring up a lot is mob spawning. There is a cap on how many mobs you can have in the world at any one time. In Bedrock Edition, that cap, with this latest update, I think it's been doubled to 16 in caves, and I think it's 8 above ground, which it always has been. In Java Edition, there's no differentiation between above ground and below ground, and the cap is 70. Also, if I remember the mechanics correctly, the game tries to spawn in mobs in Java Edition like 20 times a second, and in Bedrock Edition, something on average of like 0.9 seconds. Every 0.9 seconds it attempts to spawn something in. So it's a substantial difference in the rates at which things spawn and how many things can spawn in. It may be a reason why I'm seeing a lot more mobs in this one than I saw in Bedrock Edition. At least it seems that way. Here's a case of a weird difference between Bedrock Edition and Java Edition. In jungles, and I'm in sparse jungle or jungle edge here, but in any jungles you'll sometimes find these bushes, which has a single jungle log surrounded by leaf blocks. And in the case of Java Edition, those leaf blocks are actually oak leaf blocks, not jungle leaf blocks. Weird, but yeah. Whereas in Bedrock Edition, those leaf blocks are all definitely jungle leaf blocks. Now, this is the spot where I finished up in Bedrock Edition. This is not exactly the block I was on because the tree canopy is a little bit different, so I can't stand in the exact same spot. But this is pretty much where it was. You can see the cave off to the right of me, but to the left of me, no woodland mansion because the structures aren't generated the same. Otherwise, it looks pretty similar. Also, I'm kind of curious. Ooh. Azalea bushes and moss blocks. You know what that means? That isn't just a cave over there. It's a lush cave. Is that the same in Bedrock Edition? Is there a lush cave there too and I just didn't notice it? I don't know. I'm really curious to find that out. And I will check that out next time. Next time I have some very interesting terrain to explore. If you made it this far in this video, you probably like what you saw, so click on the like button. And if you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to my channel. And as scary and as dangerous it is to go caving, I'd like to establish a better home base first, but I think the next thing I'm going to do is go caving in the Bedrock Edition and Java Edition worlds. Next time on Aman Chooses Minecraft, Java vs. Bedrock.